INFJs feel emotionally drained because their hearts and minds are like open doors to the emotions of the world. Every interaction, every environment, and every unspoken moment seeps into them, often without their permission. They are natural empaths, deeply intuitive and hyper-aware of the feelings of others. And this sensitivity is both their strength and their quiet burden. While most people can move through life noticing only the surface of things, INFJs absorb the undercurrents. They sense tension in a room before a word is spoken, feel someone's pain in a passing glance, and detect the subtle shift in a loved one's tone long before anyone else notices something is wrong. Carrying all of this unspoken energy becomes a weight they cannot easily put down. Emotional exhaustion often starts small for an INFJ. At first, it may feel like a heaviness in the chest or a vague sense of being tired, even after resting. But the truth is that they are not just living their own emotional life. They are quietly holding pieces of everyone else's. The friend who vented about their relationship, the coworker who masked their anxiety, the stranger who looked lost and lonely on the bus. All of these moments leave an impression. INFJs rarely show it, but they're like sponges soaking in the energy around them, and over time, that energy saturates them to the point of fatigue. This constant absorption is paired with another unique challenge. Their inner world never stops processing. INFJs replay conversations in their minds, dissect facial expressions, and reflect on subtle details that others would overlook. They feel compelled to understand people, to find the reasons behind actions, to connect dots that aren't obvious. Their intuition keeps tugging at threads, weaving meaning from everything they observe. And this mental and emotional labor continues even in their quiet moments. What looks like stillness on the outside is often an ocean of activity on the inside. If you're constantly feeling emotionally drained, misunderstood, or overwhelmed, join the exclusive waitlist now to be the first to get access to the INFJ Emotional Mastery Toolkit. Click the link in the description of this video now to join the waitlist for first access and a special gift. The emotional drain also comes from their natural tendency to give more than they receive. INFJs are the ones people turn to when they need comfort, advice, or simply someone who will truly listen. They hold space for others without judgment, making people feel seen in a way few ever do. But being that safe haven for everyone else comes at a cost. They pour their energy into supporting others and often neglect to replenish themselves, leaving them running on empty without realizing it until the exhaustion hits. Social interactions can heighten this drain. Even pleasant gatherings can leave an INFJ feeling depleted if the environment is loud, chaotic, or emotionally complex. They might smile and engage warmly, but inside, they are processing 1,000 details, tones, dynamics, hidden feelings, and potential conflicts. When the event ends, they often retreat into solitude. Not because they dislike people, but because they need to disentangle themselves from the emotional threads they've absorbed. Solitude becomes the only way to return to themselves, to release the weight of the world that has quietly clung to their spirit. This emotional fatigue they feel also comes from their deep sense of responsibility for others. INFJs often feel an unspoken duty to help, heal, or guide the people around them. When they see suffering, they carry it. When they sense someone is hiding pain, they want to fix it. This relentless empathy, while beautiful, can also be a source of silent pain, because they cannot possibly heal everyone, and many times, people are not ready to accept help. The awareness of suffering they cannot ease lingers inside them, leaving a quiet ache that adds to their exhaustion. What makes this draining cycle more challenging is that INFJs often struggle to explain it to others. On the outside, they might appear calm, composed, or even cheerful, but inside they feel as though they've been carrying the weight of countless invisible worlds. People may not understand why they need so much alone time, why they seem to disappear after social events, or why they appear distant sometimes. But the truth is that this solitude is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. It's the only space where they can release what they've carried, sift through the emotional debris, and rebuild their inner peace. INFJs cannot simply observe life from a distance. They live every moment intensely, often in ways that others will never notice. A passing comment that most people would forget can linger in their mind for days. A harsh tone or a subtle rejection can echo in their hearts long after the moment has passed. This emotional intensity means that life for an INFJ is rarely light and effortless. Even the smallest interactions can leave a deep imprint, and over time, that accumulation becomes exhausting. The duality of wanting deep friendships, yet needing solitude, also feeds this emotional fatigue. INFJs crave meaningful relationships. They long for deep bonds where they can truly be seen and understood. But the more they connect, the more emotional energy they give away. Shallow interactions, small talk, and social expectations wear them down quickly because they feel out of alignment with the depth they desire. Even when surrounded by kind and loving people, INFJs can feel lonely if those connections lack soul-level resonance. This tension between wanting closeness and needing to protect their inner energy often leaves them feeling conflicted and tired. Another factor that causes their emotional drain is their lifelong habit of internalizing the emotions and problems of other people. INFJs can sense pain, fear, and disappointment in ways that feel almost physical to them. When someone they love is hurting, they often carry that pain as if it were their own. In moments of conflict or crisis, they absorb the emotional atmosphere, becoming a mirror for what others feel but do not say. It is not just empathy. It is a full-body experience of another person's reality. This ability to absorb and transmute energy is a rare gift, but can leave them feeling like a vessel that is always full of the world's heaviness. Overthinking is another quiet culprit behind their exhaustion. INFJs do not just experience emotions, they dissect and analyze them. They constantly ask themselves why people behave the way they do, why relationships change, and what hidden motives lie beneath the surface. Their intuition compels them to search for meaning in everything, and while this often gives them profound insight, it also means their minds rarely rest. Emotional fatigue builds not only from feeling, but from thinking about those feelings relentlessly, turning them over and over until they can fully understand and make peace with them. Even the beauty of the world can be draining for an INFJ because they feel it so deeply. They can be moved to tears by a piece of music, a sunset, or an act of kindness. Yet that depth of feeling is a double-edged sword. It makes life rich, but it also means their emotional system is always active. Unlike those who can numb themselves to the world's noise, INFJs remain wide open, and that openness costs them energy every single day. All of this often leads to the familiar cycle of withdrawal. INFJs reach a point where the weight of the world becomes too much, and they retreat into solitude to recover. Their alone time is not about avoiding people, but about survival. They need space to release all the emotions they've taken in, to breathe without the heaviness of others clinging to them, and to return to themselves after being pulled in so many directions. These periods of retreat are sacred. They're the only way an INFJ can restore the inner balance that constant emotional labor disrupts. This emotional drain shapes every corner of an INFJ's life, creating an inner rhythm that only they can fully understand. They move through the world like someone carrying an invisible backpack filled with the feelings of others. It affects their daily energy, their creativity, and even their physical well-being. Over time, this weight can make them feel fragile, as though a single harsh word or unexpected emotional demand could shatter the balance they've worked so hard to maintain. The exhaustion lingers because INFJs rarely allow themselves to release this weight openly. They do not want to burden others with their inner struggles, so they carry the pain in silence. They smile when they are tired, offer advice when they are empty, and continue to meet the emotional needs of the people around them even when their own heart is crying out for space. This silent endurance is both a testament to their strength and a hidden reason for their fatigue. It is a quiet battle that few will ever see. The world often misunderstands the way this exhaustion works. People might assume that an INFJ simply needs to sleep more, or that taking a weekend off will restore them. But emotional exhaustion is not healed by rest alone. It requires deep restoration, the kind that comes from reconnecting with their inner world without interruption. They need moments of pure solitude where they are not absorbing anyone else's energy, where their thoughts and emotions are entirely their own. It is in these sacred, quiet moments that an INFJ can finally release the buildup of feelings and slowly return to emotional clarity. The constant emotional drain that INFJs experience does not remain confined to their inner world. Over time, it seeps into their physical health and daily routines. The mind and body are deeply connected, and for an INFJ, carrying emotional weight is like carrying an invisible stress that never quite leaves. Their nervous system is often on high alert because their empathy keeps them attuned to every emotional shift around them. This constant state of heightened awareness can lead to tension headaches, tight shoulders, and an overall feeling of heaviness in the body. They may even experience fatigue that sleep alone cannot fix because their exhaustion is not just physical, it is emotional and mental all at once. Daily life for an INFJ is often shaped by this delicate balance between energy and depletion. Simple tasks that others handle without thought, like attending a group meeting, answering multiple messages, or having a long phone conversation, can quietly chip away at their reserves. They may start their day with a sense of calm and purpose, but after navigating a world full of unspoken emotions, micro-rejections, and social expectations, they can feel completely spent by evening. Even joy can be tiring if it comes with too much stimulation, because their minds are always processing layers of meaning behind every interaction. The emotional drain also influences their habits in ways that outsiders might misinterpret. They may cancel plans at the last minute, not because they do not care, but because they feel completely emptied and need solitude to function again. They may go silent for days or weeks when life becomes too loud, not out of neglect, but because their inner world needs time to recover. This retreat is often mistaken for moodiness or detachment, yet it is an act of self-preservation that allows them to show up with genuine warmth when they finally re-emerge. The body also keeps score of years of emotional labor. INFJs who do not actively manage their inner world may find themselves dealing with burnout, chronic fatigue, or even stress-related illnesses. They are the type to carry emotional pain quietly until it manifests physically, often in ways that confuse even themselves. A long day of being on for other people can leave them with a sense of weariness that feels far heavier than the day's actual events. Their bodies are simply echoing the unspoken strain of feeling and thinking so deeply all the time. To cope, many INFJs instinctively create small rituals of restoration woven into their daily lives. They may light candles, take long walks, meditate, or listen to music that helps them release the emotional residue of the day. They often gravitate toward environments that feel safe, peaceful, and grounding because the world outside can feel like an endless storm of noise and feeling. Their home becomes their sanctuary, a place where they can finally exhale and lay down the weight of everyone else's emotions. Over the long term, the emotional exhaustion that INFJs experience shapes not only their daily routines, but also the way they approach their entire lives. It subtly molds their personalities, teaching them to be selective in where they invest their energy and how they pursue their goals. Because they are so aware of the emotional cost of everything they do, INFJs often choose paths that align with their deepest sense of purpose rather than chasing surface-level success. They instinctively know that spending their limited energy on meaningless pursuits will only drain them faster, leaving them unfulfilled and empty. In their careers, this emotional sensitivity pushes them toward work that resonates with their values. INFJs are less likely to thrive in environments filled with constant conflict, shallow interactions, or repetitive tasks that lack meaning. They crave impact and authenticity, which means they often seek careers in counseling, teaching, writing, art, or advocacy, fields where their emotional awareness can become a strength rather than a liability. However, even in roles they love, the emotional intensity can be draining because they feel everything so deeply, and the pain or struggles of others can linger with them long after the workday ends. In relationships, this exhaustion shapes their approach to love and friendship. INFJs often move slowly when letting people into their inner world because they are keenly aware that every new connection will carry emotional weight. Love for them is never casual. It is immersive and all-consuming. This makes them some of the most devoted and nurturing partners, but it also leaves them vulnerable to burnout if their relationships are unbalanced. They need partners and friends who understand the rhythm of their energy, those who can offer space without interpreting it as distance, and who can give back emotionally instead of endlessly taking. Over time, emotional exhaustion can make INFJs appear guarded or even mysterious to the outside world. They learn to hide their depth behind small smiles and polite words, not because they are cold, but because they are conserving energy for the moments and people that truly matter. Their emotional life is like a sacred fire. It burns bright and warm for those they trust, but it is shielded from the winds of casual encounters. This quiet selectiveness can sometimes be misread as aloofness, yet it is really a form of survival in a world that constantly tugs at their empathy. This constant drain also impacts how they define fulfillment. Many INFJs eventually realize that happiness for them is not found in loud achievements or constant social validation, but in the quiet alignment of their soul with their actions. They find peace in knowing that they are living authentically, that they are helping where it truly matters, and that they are nurturing a small circle of meaningful relationships rather than spreading themselves thin. Their emotional exhaustion pushes them to strip away anything that feels false or unnecessary, leaving behind a life that is simpler, slower, but infinitely more aligned with who they are. Recovery and resilience for INFJs are not about simply resting or sleeping. They are about finding spaces and practices that allow their emotional reservoir to refill. For INFJs, the drain does not come from physical exertion alone, but from the constant processing of unspoken emotions, the endless awareness of subtle cues, and the inner drive to make meaning out of everything. This is why traditional breaks, like a short nap or a weekend off, may not always feel sufficient. True restoration comes from intentional solitude and activities that nurture their soul rather than just distract their mind. Spending time alone is one of the most essential elements of their emotional recovery. Solitude is not a sign of loneliness for an INFJ. It is a sacred space where they can untangle the threads of their feelings and separate their own emotions from the ones they've absorbed from others. During these quiet moments, they might journal, meditate, take a long walk in nature, or simply sit in stillness, letting their mind wander without the pressure of interaction. This is where they regain clarity and reconnect to their inner voice, which can easily get muffled in the noise of daily life. Creative expression is another lifeline for INFJs, because they often carry the emotions of others alongside their own. Channeling these feelings into something tangible allows them to release what words alone cannot carry. Writing, painting, playing music, or even designing something new provides an outlet where their inner world can flow freely. These creative acts are more than hobbies. They are a form of therapy, a quiet reclamation of emotional balance that prevents the buildup of unprocessed energy. INFJs also rely heavily on environments that feel safe and nurturing. Their homes often become carefully curated sanctuaries filled with objects, scents, and colors that bring them comfort. A soft blanket, a cup of tea, a favorite playlist, or the warmth of gentle lighting can serve as emotional anchors. They are highly sensitive to their surroundings, and any space that feels chaotic or intrusive will amplify their sense of fatigue. On the other hand, a calm environment acts like a balm to their senses, silently refueling them for the world outside. Even with these coping mechanisms, emotional exhaustion is a recurring rhythm in the life of an INFJ. It is part of the cost of feeling so deeply and seeing life with such rare clarity. And yet, within this vulnerability lies an incredible strength, the ability to rise again and again, to give love despite the drain, and to maintain a sense of purpose that many spend a lifetime searching for. This lifelong dance with emotional exhaustion shapes INFJs into individuals who live intentionally, love fiercely, and protect their inner world like a sacred space. They may walk through life carrying invisible weight, but they also carry a rare kind of light that shines wherever they go. Do you constantly feel emotionally drained or overwhelmed as an INFJ? Join the waitlist now for the Emotional Mastery Toolkit and learn how to protect your energy. Use the link in the description of this video.